And good afternoon. My name is Ian, and today I want to explore the world of asset tokenization and digital securities. Many a times, great things happen not just because of an idea or product that was mooted. It's because of our collective effort in promoting its awareness and edification that precedes the full adoption of movement. Like many, I personally believe that the fintech industry suffers from a lack of an education-based approach, and the gap between the potential adopters' understanding and the professional is an ocean. In response to filling the void today, I have invited Samson Lee, the man behind the much talked about TATS Awards, to share his views on asset tokenization and digital securities adoption thus far, and why it has not taken off fully just yet. A man that needs no introduction, Samson's illustrious career spans from working for internationally renowned companies such as UCAS, PCCW, and Tom Group, just to name a few, and his years of experience in the blockchain and fintech industries has made him such a trailblazer in this arena. I believe today is just as good a day as any for us to start pushing for digital securities adoption. Let's start with us welcoming Samson. Samson, a very good afternoon to you. So can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for the very kind introduction. Really appreciate that. So yes, my name is Samson Lee, and you can call me Sam. I'm a founder and CEO of Coinstreet Partners. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for your time and giving me this opportunity to share what we have with your audience. So a little bit background about myself. I have been in the technology financing for over 20 years. So financing different, technology company ranging from startup, even to public listed company as well. I started during the dot-com era. I was with the first internet listed company in Hong Kong at the time in year 2000. It's a company under the tycoon Lee Ka-sing. It's called Tom Group. So I was with the IPO team at the time. It's interesting time, but of course, like it's dot-com and boom and bust. But I stay around the industry. I did many things, including e-commerce, mobile payment. I have the privileges to work on the 3G, the whole transformation with the mobile operator. At the time, we did actually launch the world first mobile e-wallet on the 3G network. And in 2016, it's a coincidence that I got introduced to Vitalik, a co-founder of Ethereum, through a common friend. At the time, blockchain is not so popular, but Ethereum is amazing. After years in the tech industry, I find blockchain really going to be a big driving force for the next big wave of transformation in the tech space. I find it very fascinating. And then I volunteer myself, help Vitalik to start the Ethereum community in Shenzhen on a voluntary basis. But when the ICO boom came, a lot of people came to me to seek for advice to how to do a ERC20 tokens. At the time, I see this is going to transform the financial industry. So we team up with some of my friends and partners from the traditional capital market space, and we create Coinstreet with the vision of trying to create Wall Street for the digital asset world. So that's how Coinstreet came to life. We are positioned as an investment bank for the digital asset world.
You have such an illustrious career, Sam. So, you are at this moment now, that you have just launched TATS Awards. Tell us the story behind the inception of this awards and what inspires you and your team to organize this event, and what are the main goals and objectives of the event?
Right. TATS Awards, as you can see in the logo here, TADS stand for Tokenized Asset and digitized securities, right? This is the core behind the asset tokenization and digitization, right? A lot of people talk about STO and things like that, but I think that's important too. But maybe there's too much focus on the fundraising, right? Because STO is token offering is more focused on fundraising. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think the bigger picture is about asset tokenization and securities digitization. What we try to do is to come together to, first of all, to create incentive to recognize all the good achievement and contributions for different individuals and companies trying to contribute to build this industry and ecosystem. And secondly, I think it's important for some of the industry players to come together to try to identify, a best practice model, or come up with some model of valuation, assessment, or measuring standard. What could be considered a high quality tokenized assets, right, or digitized securities.
Excellent. So, I just posted a recent social handle article on your TATS Awards, and I compare it with the movies industry where, in the late 19th century, since the first public screening of film, and it took 30 years before the first Academy Awards being presented to the best works. So, I mean, it is almost like having this awards now. It is sort of like getting the sense of the maturity of asset tokenization and digital securities market sort of coming into place. So what do you think of that, and why should and how can the industry players participate in this TATS Awards?
Well, thank you for the kind comparison. Really appreciate, and we are very flattered. Before TATS Awards, we have been involved in the digital securities, digital assets work for a few years already. From both, we work with both investor and also from the issuer point of view, right? There's just a lot of missing common language and measuring standard and make it difficult, right? For example, for investor point of view, some are actually interested to take to have a position on digital asset, and they come to us and say, hey, how should I select? Like if I look at the STO, or they see like a white paper, a PPM, they're not really able to get a very good perspective, right, of whether it is a good investment or not a good investment, right? So some measuring standard or some common method of how to analyze a digital product is actually necessary to have, right? On the issuer side, some of the issuer, they actually very keen to structure a good product, right? They're very open mind, very flexible, but they don't have, there's lacking of guideline. How do I structure a good product even if they want to be good, right? So having some guideline to also help issuer to structure a high quality digital asset product is also very necessary. So what we're doing here is trying to do what we see is necessary as an industry player to help to drive the industry forward. So we are very grateful that we have support from other players as well. So we are doing this in a collective basis.
Okay, thank you very much. So what do you think are the main differences in the emergence of asset tokenization or digital securities of even the offerings, the SEO offerings across the various countries, especially in Asia Pacific?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Because this industry, although it's short, right, but it keep evolving, and we have gone through actually a lot of changes, right, in a short time. At the beginning, many people talk about security tokens, right? That's how the whole thing started, right? And in my personal opinion, I might not be right, but from what I understand, security token is actually a result is by accident, right? Why is it by accident, right? So first of all, security token is a securities, it's a financial product, right? But it is not created by the financial world. It is not created by Wall Street or any investment bank, right? How security token, such term, come to life is by accident. Because back in 2017, during the ICO boom, right, is a very competitive, right? There's tons of ICO projects, I think thousands of them. But some issuer back then, they become very aggressive. They issue utility tokens, but they flow in a little bit of like revenue sharing or dividend sharing, a little bit of financial incentive in there. And then all of a sudden, the regulator jump up the roof and say, hey, you crossed the line. This is security. And because it's security, it is security tokens. So that's how security tokens come to life by accident. Someone break the rules. But of course, once it is out there and they are like getting attention from many financial professionals, they are really looking at this seriously. Okay, interesting. There's actually a new asset class, a security product in tokenized format. Security tokens have a sense of new product creation because it doesn't exist. There's no securities in tokenized format. So that's interesting in that aspect. But on the other hand, we also talk about asset tokenization. Asset tokenization is more focused not just on financial assets. We can also talk about fixed assets. We can talk about a factory, right? We can talk about industrial assets, right? We can talk about commodities, right? So tokenizing of such asset is not exactly a securities.
What do you think are the actual benefits to the investors or the investment market that you have seen or that you are seeing from these activities?
Particularly for investment, I think it's a win-win situation for both the issuer and the investor, right? Because we know in the current capital market or the banking industry is not very efficient to small and medium companies. In the past 20 years, small and medium companies going IPO is dropping, right? Because the cost, the professional fees, the compliance costs are just too high, for a smaller market cap IPO, right? We see there's this window or gap that could be actually fulfilled by asset tokenization or STO or digitized securities, kind of new way of capital market and capital financing.
What do you think are the biggest challenges of asset tokenization or digital securities right at this moment?
So on the initial offering fundraising for STO, the essence is to do fundraising on a global scale at a very low cost. It's very cost efficient. And on the other hand, of course, we can also now make very good regional investment opportunity, be able to access by smaller investors around the world, right? Because traditionally, if anyone wants to get into like a pre-unicorn kind of opportunity, maybe 3 to 5 years before the IPO, right? They have to go through the traditional path of become an LP of a traditional VC or PE funds, right? So LP, VC, they control the pipeline. They are the one, the big VC, big PE, they're the ones scooping up all the pre-unicorn opportunity, right? Smaller investors, they can only buy at the IPO days, which might be 20 times more expensive already. Because now we are focusing a lot on global fundraising and cross-border investment, right? The challenge will be how do we mitigate the difference between the jurisdictions. How do we facilitate such vision of global fundraising or cross-border investment, right? But the good thing is, because we are talking about tokenized asset, right? Whether it's a securities or fixed asset, is in tokenized format on the blockchain. It might seem difficult to handle different jurisdictions from 30 countries, but theoretical, all we need is 30 different smart contracts, right? We have a smart contract per country, laying out all the requirements, all the security laws, right? And then when an investor come on board, of course, we have to do KYC anyways, right? So there's no lacking of information where the investor is domiciled, right? So we just pull that smart contract for them. So it's very executable.
Interesting. So what advice would you like to give to those future security issuers or companies or SMEs or entrepreneurs who are interested to raise funds through STO?
My view is STO is not really ideal for startup company. I think it's better for companies to take advantage of STO when they're around like maybe Series A and all the way to PIPO, right? Reason being, STO is a securities, right? There need to be, some kind of like valuation assessment, right? Whether, the valuation based on the company equity or your asset value or whatever, sometimes early startup, we all know, right, is about the management and the passions and the business plan. It's very abstract. So it might not be very meaningful to structure an STO. But on the other spectrum, I don't think STO can replace IPO neither, right? So now we're actually working with firms with a bigger plan in day one is to do STO and then IPO, right? Even the way they structure STO, the token, they even structure a recall clause in there where they can recall the token and in exchange and give the investor, the original investor, shares that will be listed. Reason it cannot replace because IPO is a different game, right? IPO is most mature, of course, like decades of history. Is the game of multiples, right? It's about PE ratio. How a company earn $1 can become $50 on the share price, right? STO is not there yet. It might be. I hope it will be there one day. Then I might change my view, but not now. So I think so people should think, okay, when to start, not too early, but also when they're structuring STO, don't forget, and still should have in their mind one day how do they evolve from a STO back to IPO, right? Because IPO is very strict. If some of those questions is not being well thought out in day one, it might create a lot of problem at the point when the entrepreneur trying to do an IPO, right? Because they might have make many wrong moves in the past that may create a lot of troubles.
It's interesting, Sam, that you say, while we are all advocates of STO or digital securities offering, but at the same time that you are such a believer of IPO as well. Isn't that sort of like against the principle of STO, where, STO is supposed to be lower cost, minimize the intermediary, players and so on and so forth. So what have you got to say to that?
The reality now is the STO market is still at the early days, right? I see actually now it can already offer a lot of good value or advantage over traditional private equities. The two paths is comparable, right? is competitive enough that people can actually consider A or B, right? But for my IPO, not yet. STO is not yet able to compete yet, right? I hope it will be. It could be, because reason being, we have seen now around the world, right? In the past 2 years, a lot of the regulator from different jurisdictions starting to put together sandbox program. So we see like more licensed STO exchange is coming online, right? One by one in different countries, right? But theoretically, although they are domiciled in one country because, like, they have to be regulated by the local regulator, but those exchange are very interesting. It's a new breed of animal. It's not exactly like stock exchange only trading local securities. They are trading digitized securities that trade globally, right? So
Yeah.
it's a security exchange, but yet the product is almost like a forex, right? Because
And 24/7.
it's 24/7 and it's globally, right? Because any token, any security token can do multiple listing in any security token exchange, right? And at this point, at least it might change. At this point, still most of them are based on Ethereum, right? So the interoperability is very high, right? So when we see all this exchange coming up, it creates a global liquidity.
I'm going to force you, Sam, to sort of look at your crystal ball, and do you think that SEO is going to replace IPO in the near future?
Well, I don't have any crystal ball, okay? But what I can share with you is I think well, we have obviously see what I call the first big wave of digital transformation, of course, is the internet, right? What we have seen, what internet have done to the media industry and the telecommunication industry, right? You look around, like YouTube changed the world, and Netflix, one YouTube influencer, one person is bigger than a media company. And Netflix started out as a company just sending DVD rental discs by the post, right? But somehow they accumulate a huge customer base, and then they turn digital, right? And now Netflix is bigger than all of the movie company in Hollywood. Internet didn't really change the financial industry that much. There's not much transformation. Of course, like, okay, we do like, stock trading through the broker, and we do stock trading online, right? But guess what? It's still the traditional bank that capture the market, right? So the value chain is not broken. It's still very intact, with the big player, controlling everything. But I think for blockchain, it's going to bring transformation to the financial industry, almost like internet bring to media and telecommunication industry. But if we can provide a platform, I mean, collectively, right, this industry, in a fully compliance way, of course, like is security have to be compliance. But if we can facilitate global fundraising and cross-border investment, we can liberalize the investment industry, just like YouTube liberalized the content.
Yep, that's an excellent point. So Sam, we are almost running out of time. So any last words or any myths about the industry that you would like to debunk here?
Now the industry is very new. Okay, there's two myths. I think it will be helpful for people to have a better understanding. And the first thing that comes to your mind is like, oh, am I too late? Right? I mean, like Bitcoin is 2008. Now it's over 10 years. There's so many big companies out there. I tell you, we are right at the start. not late at all. Okay, we are right at the start. We're at 2002. You think about what is Amazon like at 2002. They're nothing like today, right? Why I say 2002? Because 2002, we came out from the crash from .com. You know, people just, you know, get their breath and, you know, trying to figure out the future. And the next big momentum is right around the corner. At the time, it was smartphone. When smartphone came in 2003, it changed the whole industry with the cloud infrastructure, the app store, and everything. This is where we are now, 2002, right? We came out from the ICO crash, cleaned up the industry, but now big players looking at the industry very seriously with STO, digitized securities, tokenized asset just around the corner. When it happened, it would take the industry to a very big ride. So number one. Number two, forget about blockchain. Okay, people got intimidated, you know, because many people try to learn and get into fintech and, you know, see what's going on, and they come across blockchain, and it become a hurdle to them because they don't understand what the hell is blockchain. I don't understand blockchain, so I cannot get involved, right? Because I don't understand blockchain. Blockchain is a protocol. It's overhyped. We don't need to understand blockchain. Nobody needs to understand blockchain, I tell you. It's because people try to manipulate something other people don't understand so they can make scam. This is what happened in 2017. Everything is blockchain. Investment in my project is blockchain. Come on. There's no meaning. Blockchain is a protocol. I give you an example. We watch video every day, right? We all watch video every day. The protocol behind video is video codec. It's H.264, MPEG-2, MPEG-4. Who knows and who cares?
Nobody
right?
cares.
It is about Netflix, right? We use internet every day. We send email every day. Protocol between internet is TCP/IP. And who cares? Who knows? I don't even know, right? We don't need to know. It's about the application. It's not about the protocol. So forget about blockchain.
Sure. Okay. Anyway, so thank you so much, Samson. I mean, it was wonderful speaking to you. And, you know, but before we go, just for our readers, just to let you know that, you know, TAS Awards now is open for nominations. Am I right, Samson?
Yes, allow me to elaborate a little bit. So for TAS Awards, we have two categories of awards. One category is for different type of STO, right? It's like the equity back, property back. There's also a social impact. You know, we have 5 awards in that category. So another category of awards also have 5 awards in there is for ecosystem solution provider, service provider. So it could be a KYC provider, token issuing platform, custodian platform, and things like that. You can find the details on our website. Nomination just started today, so again, not too late. You're right on time. It runs until November 3rd.
Yeah, and I actually went into your website to try to sort of like to fill up the form. I mean, to all our readers out there, it is so simple. Just click on it, and it's just a few clicks for the part 1 application. And part 2, it's basically some details that you're going to furnish to it. So not to worry, it's not like you have to fill in like, you know, 20-page forms and all that. Yeah,
exactly.
Am I right?
Exactly, and you don't have to know about blockchain.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much, Samson, for for joining us today. And I really wish you and your team all the best for the TAS Awards. And I'm sure we get to speak soon again.
Thank you, Ian. It's really our pleasure. It's really my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay. And
Thank
here,
you.
Ian Fong signing out. Bye bye.
Okay. All right. Thanks.